Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cactus Patch. I am your host, GlitchedCactus, but you can call me Cactus, and today we are joined by ProChara to discuss their upcoming charity event, Two-Course Meal. Chara, how are you, and how's your week been?
I'm doing good. It's been a pretty busy week, but I'm excited to be on here and discuss some stuff.
Fantastic, fantastic. Oh, no, here's another daily issue with the podcast. It's not picking up voices. Give me 1 second. All good. Okay, let's see here. Let's do this. Okay, you should be able to be heard now. Just want to give it a
Yeah.
shot.
Okay.
Yeah, you're okay. Loud and clear. Here
Testing
you
one, two,
are.
three. I
Yes,
guess.
the green
Testing.
bar is here. Let's go. All right, feel free to give just yeah, how you been? How has your week been? And of course, feel free to give a little bit of an introduction for yourself, just in case anyone doesn't know who you are and what you do.
I've had a pretty good week. It's been a little bit busy, but been very productive as a whole. I'm Chara. I just do videos on Splatoon stuff. I play the game competitively. That's about it.
That's awesome. That's one of the best things, right? Being able to do play the game competitively and also content for fun and have amazing opportunities wherever you see fit. Um, so to kick things off, the event that we're talking about is Two-Course Meal. For those who don't know, it is Two-Course Meal for Palestine. It is a charity event that aims to raise money for Palestine Children's Relief Fund. It will take place this upcoming weekend, March 16th and 17th, with day one having side order duos with teams of amazing content creators and speedrunners combined, followed by a day two $30 weapon pool tournament. You have $30, not actual money, just uh, reference money, to pick a weapon lineup you can use in the event. It is double elimination and has a 128 team cap, with art prizes being awarded to the top four of the side order event and the top eight of the tournament event, with the stream, of course, being on ProChara's Twitch channel. This is an amazing event overall, and I know you did mention on Twitter regarding some ideas you want to talk about during the podcast. So, why don't you go ahead and just start us off by giving us some insight on that? What are some ideas that you originally had, and how did we get to this point of the event?
Well, I can't cover all the script ideas because there's a lot of them, but I think if I can remember the second one, there were two on the top of my head that I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Originally, it wasn't going to be a two event idea. It was originally just going to be one event that would go over 2 days, and just it kind of the ideas kind of segmented into there were some single player speedrunning ideas like Octo Expansion or Alterna originally before,
Ooh,
because originally when I was planning this, we didn't know when Side Order was going to come out,
yeah.
so I didn't plan around that. And then there were a few multiplayer ideas. The most ambitious one I had would have been like a small invitational, like 8 teams. It would be best of three, and the idea would have been you play a best of three set on Splatoon 1, and then you move to Splatoon 2 for the next best of three, and then Splatoon 3 if you need a tiebreaker. So you would have to win, like it would be a Splatoon 1 through 3 tournament,
Wait,
which is
that's
why it
so
have to be so
cool.
few teams. But you can also probably see why it didn't happen. Like it's a neat idea, but you would need people who could readily switch between two different setups and had all three Splatoon games and were willing to compete in all of them, which
Yeah.
is, a bit much. So, but I did want to bring up that was the most ambitious one I had. I spent some time trying to get it to be feasible, but it was kind of difficult to get around. But eventually, it did kind of go into. I think side order fit really perfectly for a race format, just kind of trying to get as far as you can fast, and it eventually became a. I was talking with Milana about it, and she brought up some post, I don't remember it, about some speedrun race rules on Twitter, and that kind of turned into what if we teamed up two people together for each team, which became the speedrunner plus content creator thing. But originally there was going to be a side order race. And then tournament wise, I decided to just keep it to Splatoon 3 to keep it simple and more accessible. And after the balance patches hadn't really changed the meta as much, I was like, why don't we revisit the I remember the shopping spree tournament, the $20 one,
Oh yes,
where you would pick
yes.
comps, and that's where I was like, oh, what if we run this again, but in Splatoon 3, and I can try to uh make a chart to make it a little bit more appealing. And I can talk about that later because this question's gone on long enough, but a lot of time went into what exactly would go in the chart, what ideas I wanted for it, and stuff like that. So I'll get into that later when you ask about that. But in terms of like the ideas, that was kind of the process. It was just I had a lot of different stuff eventually correlated into two things, and those became the events we had this weekend.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, overall, it seems like from the get-go, you had a lot of great ideas up for the event. I mean, 'cause just thinking, my brain's still wrapped around that whole jumping from 1 to 2 to 3 in a best of 3. I mean, that just
Well, I wanted to
sounds
do something
incredible.
for Splatoon 1, but it's just so few people have Splatoon 1. I
Yeah.
posted a Splatoon 1 tournament in the past as well, so I was like, it's not as necessary this time. Let's just make it something that people will be able to do. Because one event's already an invitational, so I don't want the next event to be like, oh, you gotta have a Wii U for this
Yeah.
one. Felt like a little
Already.
too restrictive at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's understandable, especially with, I think we have, what, less than a month before the services get shut
Yeah, and
down?
Academy is doing a Splatoon 1 speed ladder apparently now, so there'll still be a Splatoon 1
Oh, that's
event before the
right.
game closes, which will be cool.
Yeah,
Maybe
one
I'll
less.
play in that if I'd probably I'd have to, my wrist is not great with the gamepad, so maybe
Oh,
not.
absolutely. That thing's massive. So compared to a controller, I
Yeah.
can't imagine.
Oh, it's I can't.
So you did mention that you've had this kind of like the idea floating around for a while before even side order was announced. So besides like trying to figure out what you wanted the event to be based around, was there any other challenges you kind of faced along the way making this event?
The biggest one that like luckily worked out, but I think I should have planned a lot better was getting people to help out with the tournaments
Hmm.
because initially the ideas were all a bit smaller, or like it was only one event. The ideas were still a bit big, but it was a little smaller scale. Like it was still only one event. And so I thought I wouldn't need as large a team, and it very quickly expanded. And I was like, oh, we got to do this fast. This is such a good idea. I want to do this now. And like, and the tournament had already been delayed enough. So, like, as the months went by, I was like, I got to get this to happen eventually. I don't want to wait too long. And so it kind of became a point where I was like, let's just start throwing this together before I had enough people. And luckily, Milana helped a lot with that in terms of getting some people to help. Lantro helped a lot with that as well on the speedrunner side, helped get pretty much almost all the speedrunners I invited were connected through him helping out. So I
Nice.
wanted to give a big thanks there. So those two helped me a lot with getting a lot of the staff involved. And then we got even more uh, artists when the event was announced. We had a lot of people try to volunteer to be able to give prizes. So then it expanded even more. But it was very we ended up having a lot of people on the team who were very helpful to it like later on. If I can give a few more shout outs would be
Yeah.
Zen helping out with the trailer and the commentator graphic that'll go out tomorrow, which is why I'm not talking about the commentators yet because it'll be announced tomorrow. But we got some good names on there. And then Ellie Ellie Mental also helped out a lot on a lot of the TO side and is going to be running the stream uh, for the event and designed a lot of the overlays. So I had a lot of people, you know, agree to help on very short notice and get the event in better, like far better quality than it would have been on my own. So I'm uh, I'm very glad to have a lot of people who are willing to help out quickly. And yeah, I mean, it's that was definitely the challenge, but it worked out pretty well. It did take a little bit of time for me to get all the fine details, but for the most part, it ended up like working out pretty well, and I'm very lucky for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's incredible that you were able to just have so much support, almost pretty much once things started kicking off. Like, that's incredible that so many players and individuals were able to come together and really make this event to come what it's become already and what it's soon to be. What we'll find out this weekend, which is, again, it's going to be amazing. I'm already excited for it. Besides, of course, myself being able to compete in the event, just being able to watch it is going to be incredible on its own. Are you going to actually be competing in your own event?
No. Well, I
Okay.
will be commentating a little bit on the day one,
Hmm.
and then day two, I will. I was originally going to commentate, but I decided that, well, one, we needed a bit more help on the TO side, which is what I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing, like the early part of the tournament with how many teams could potentially sign up. And
Okay.
then for the later half, I'm probably just going to be coaching Moonlight since they're playing in the event themselves. So
Okay, awesome. That's awesome.
I wouldn't have played in it regardless. It was going to be either coaching, commentating, or TOing, and I'm doing all three of it over the weekend. So I'm gonna be doing most of the commentary day one, and it's probably better I don't commentate day two as well because I figured my voice might be. I don't know how I'm not that great at commentating for a long period of time without my voice starting to die. So I think keeping it to one day is probably for the better, and then it'll be a good experience to help out TO. I always think it's a very valuable experience for like a player to TO and get that side of what things are like, even if it's just like a one-time thing. I don't know if I could talk about this too much, but there was another collaboration with a different tournament organizer that I'm not going to name right now that I was debating doing a video on, and I might still revisit. That also involves me TOing, but I have some experience with it because I ran Splat on Sunday a few years back, and I've done some other smaller tournaments a long time ago, but I haven't done any TOing for a while, and I also have pretty strict time rules, so I have a feeling day one is going to be a little bit hectic at first with all the teams signed up, but hopefully I can help out a bit and make sure everything runs a bit more smoothly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely sound like you got a lot put on your plate, but I mean, you always find a way. I feel like you always find a way to make everything work, and that's one of the things from a content creator side, with myself included, like I admire that you're able to do, because you have so many great ideas that you put out, and this being another one to add to the list that you're going to be able to really knock out, and it definitely probably will be hectic, but it's going to be a lot of fun regardless. I just know it.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So let's actually, I will jump into the question about the tournament for the day two. So you did list when we briefly mentioned it about the modes and map list ideas. So take us a little bit into that because I think there's no Rainmaker.
Yeah, there is no Rainmaker in this tournament. So I thought a lot about because I wanted this tournament to appeal to like top teams and like general players. So I was always very split between the format because top teams right now are like for the most part are very zones only,
Yeah.
like practice is almost exclusively that, which is understandable why. Like I think even today there was a discussion around some SOS clip of crack and cheese and people being like, "I can't believe we still play this." So it's very. I know it's a hot topic right now, but I was thinking, okay, the $30 format might appeal to some people, might not, who just kind of want to practice whatever's good. So that's already kind of a 50-50 deal. But I'd say the chart probably appeals a bit more casually than competitively, right? It's more
Yeah.
gimmicky and fun and different. So I was thinking what compromise could I do, and I wanted to try a zones preferred format because that was popular in the top player map poll that I ran a while back, and I haven't really seen an event tested out. So I was like, okay, what if I try doing a zones preferred format, and then I can just have it, so it's zones, other mode zones, other mode zones. And I thought, okay, if we take out a mode though, then every best of five I can guarantee all three modes are played, as long as the set isn't a blowout. So I was like, okay, why don't we just take out Rainmaker? Because that mode has no good maps in this game, and I don't want to think about making a Rainmaker map list because no matter what I pick, it's going to be horrible. So what if we just don't run Rainmaker because it's like the number one candidate for worst competitive mode in the game right now. Barely anyone wants to play it at all at like top level anyway. So it'd probably score a lot of points to just take it out, and then it's simpler. And then it gave me a reason to do. Originally, Zones was only 6 maps and the others were 4, but I decided to make Zones 8 maps to help with the. It ended up having a lot of repetitive maps. So it's 8 Zones maps and then 4 of the other 2 modes. And it's mostly based off the top player map pool data, a little bit of my own opinion, and then a little bit of, hey, Marlin's a new map, and it's like pretty good on all of these modes. So let's just put Marlin in 3 times. Why not? So I threw Marlin Airport in there because it's a new map and it's not like horrible. So I figured it would be fine, and that's kind of how the format came up. And then I decided I could make counter picks for top four because those are always fun, but then take out the mode dilemma, which would speed up the counter pick process drastically. So I thought that would be a good way to introduce counter picks. I'm generally like, I think counter picks are great when it's teams that know each other. I do not think counter picks make sense when it's like two random teams that have no idea who each other are. Like, what are you counter picking them? You have no idea what they play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I tend to keep it to like top four, top eight. In this case, top four just to make sure time, because up to 128 teams in a double a limb, I got to be really harsh on time rules and stuff to make sure it's there. And usually with counter pick, like I'm aware how it works, both player and spectator side. I've seen a team take like 5 minutes to pick a map, and I have to be like, nope, 2 minutes, or I'm picking random on the map list. Like, I'm just gonna select one of the tower maps if you don't pick one in 2 minutes. That's the hard rule. I cannot have this tournament go like 6 hours. I'm hoping we can keep it under 6 hours. That's the goal.
Okay.
Hope fingers crossed. We'll see how many people sign up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I think
that's my thoughts on the map list format. So
yeah.
it's uh it's a lot of different ideas that I wanted to test at the same time, and then I'll kind of reevaluate and be like, what works and what doesn't. And that's kind of what I want to do with a lot of this tournament. I use it as an excuse to test a lot of different ideas between restriction formats and maps. And then I guess this is part of the chart, but I'll talk about it. I wasn't too opposed to tower control because I think tower is like mostly fine, especially with the limited map list
Yeah.
already. I think it's not that bad. But Clam Blitz was one where I was like, okay, I have to do something about Clam Blitz cheese. So I thought of the idea of adding a Kraken fee for Clam Blitz, which is the rule I'm trying for this tournament. So you can still Kraken cheese technically, but every Kraken costs $3 extra on Clam Blitz. So like if you pick 96, for instance, 96 is the most popular Kraken weapon. 96 is $9. That'd be $12 out of your 30 for one weapon. If you pick
Wow.
Leader, Heavy Deco is the cheaper options. That's still $11. So I made it so that you could do it, but it would come with the downside that you are weakening your comp.
Yeah.
And I think that might be interesting. Realistically, I don't know how savable Clam Blitz is right now. Like the mode is cool, but like Kraken Cooler Cheese and the pacing of the mode is like drastically hurt right now. But I figured this is, the mode's only appearing once in a best of 5 anyway. This compromise is probably enough for it to function fine, I hope. That now some set's going to be decided in game 4 by some team Kraken cheesing the other one and scoring 3 power clams, and I'm going to get shit for it, and I'm going to never run Clam Blitz again. But we'll see.
Hey, who
Hopefully
knows,
not.
right? Yeah.
I'm ready for it though.
Yeah, at least you're expecting it, right? It all takes someone
I
running
think
that.
it's still gonna happen. Some team is gonna spend the extra money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I'm expected. I know my team's expected to because Moonlight, but right now we're not planning on it. I guess I'll talk about that more when we get to the chart, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why not? Let's just actually let's do that. Let's skip right to the chart. So, the first thing was the bias prevention, right? So, take us a little bit into that.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I'll get to that in a little. I kind of have to explain the chart as a whole first, I
Yeah,
guess.
absolutely. Go ahead.
I don't know if you're able to show it on stream or whatever. It's in the server if you aren't.
Yeah, I should be
So,
able to.
first I'll get rid of Nova right out of the way because people were asking about
Yeah.
Nova. It's just a meme. I think the weapon is lame and bad for the game, and nobody should pick it anyway. So I just thought it would be really funny if I put it at $12 so Pencil isn't just sitting there by itself. So that's what I did, and it boosted the interaction so much. I'm totally gonna put something else there. Like maybe I'll do Neo Sploosh next time I run one of these. Neo Sploosh will be like
Oh my
$13
god, that's
out of
evil.
nowhere. It'd be funny. The main thing is I didn't want Pencil to not be picked. I wanted
Yeah.
people who really wanted to play Pencil to pick it. That's why Red Pencil's a little bit cheaper. But I wanted it to be like a hard sacrifice. The only top player speculation I heard about it was doing like double vanilla L3 with Pencil and then another $4 weapon, which you barely fit. And it's like, yeah, you have to sack that low in order to run a Pencil. That's totally intentional. I wanted it to be different because I know with practically no Pencil, the meta opens up a ton. So I wanted to see that. And then the other thing was double Zuka. Originally, I had Zuka more expensive as a whole, but I figured making the Zuka weapons kind of higher up, like they're most of the $10 tier, and then adding a $3 double Zuka fine would probably work. And yeah, I haven't seen a single team practice double Zuka. There's still a good amount of normal Zuka being picked at least once, but I've never seen it be picked twice. I doubt it would happen tournament day unless if someone picks Clash, because Clash is $4. But at
Yeah.
that point, who cares? They picked the Clash. It's free content. So outside of that was just basically making the chart around. Like, I still tried to order it to where stronger weapons were higher or lower, but there had to be some exceptions.
Yeah.
There were some weapons I tried to bias against. For example, originally Forge was $7, and I made it 8, partially because, hey, I'm on a team with Moonlight, and they have a Forge Pro player, so it'd be a little bit unfair, possibly, if it ended up being good. And part of it was just, I think in this format where all the painting weapons are expensive and weapons with good kits are expensive, Forge, which is a decent weapon with a solid kit, might be a bit higher, which is also where stuff like Tent being a bit higher came from. I
Okay.
definitely tried to make sure I didn't bias Moonlight unintentionally. In fact, the Kraken fee was partially because I knew they would run it otherwise. So
Smart,
I
smart.
put it there like, all right, if you guys want to do this, we got to work for it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But I did make adjustments to the chart a bit after for some stuff. Mainly, I wanted backlines to and cooler weapons to be a bit diverse. Because what actually happened for some top level scrims I saw is pretty much everyone was running H3 or Dynamo Roller in
Wow.
practice because they're so cheap, which was the
Yeah.
point. The $4 tier intentionally had the other three cooler weapons at the very bottom. It was supposed to be the main picks, but it was happening like people were not really ever picking the other cooler options. So I lowered edit and try just a tad bit to make it a little bit easier. I still think Dynamo and H3 will be the most common cooler options, which is cool. I want to see those weapons. And I ended up lowering a few other things. I made a lot of the other anchors really cheap, like Jet Sculptures are $70, Vanilla Charger, Expo's 5, Custom is 4, Leaders are $8, Ballpoints are 8, Heavy Deco is 8. I debated Heavy Deco 7, but one, Kraken's pretty good in this format because there's more slower weapons, and two, it would probably just make it broken as hell in Clan Blitz if you could pick a $10 Kraken spamming weapon.
Yeah.
So ended up keeping it there. And then the other thing for the chart is I ended up lowering some weapons intentionally. Some of the main ones would be like Dooley, for instance. Like some weapons with a really strong kit that I think are kind of cool and would help with comp building, I wanted to lower. So like Dooley was one example of that. Vanilla Ballpoint got a little bit of bias. I heavily debated putting Ballpoint to $9. So there were some, and then there was other cases like Roller, where Roller was cool, but also Roller was really hard to build comps around in this format because there's a lot less painting weapons and there's no pencil with it.
Yeah.
So I ended up making Roller cheaper to compensate. So there are some niche cases like that where weapons got lower to help comp building a little bit. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with where it is right now. Originally, I had Moonlight play against NFT Win, and then Jackpot talked a little bit about it on Madness's stream. He talked a bit about what they were thinking, and all three teams were trying different stuff. And I'm like, okay, good sign. And I discussed a little bit about with them to lower some things, which mainly came to a lot of price drops for backlines, and a few painting weapons got lowered a bit just to be a little bit safer. Uh, but I think for the most part, I'm really happy with where the chart's at. It's been fun to watch the scrims. Like there's been some vacuum rapids, some ballpoints, some backless comps, some custom leader. I think we'll see a few things. I'm hoping maybe some Jet Sculpture or Expo would be picked. I think Expo is a steal at $5. I put it at 6 because I was like, people definitely got to pick it if it's $6 for some zones maps, right? And nobody would do it. So I'm like, all right, $5. Take it or leave it. So it's a lot of experimentation,
Yeah.
and it definitely isn't perfect. Like, obviously the shark could be a lot better. But I think it's at a spot where like I'm happy with where it is for a first run. I think we'll see a lot of interesting comps. And so far there hasn't been like a clear dominant comp yet. Which, if there was a lot of time, there probably would eventually become one.
Yeah.
But I think hopefully by the time the tournament comes around, there's still a lot of people going. I'm pretty happy with it. Like comps still feel strong. Like you can still pick enough of the good weapons to where the comps don't feel horrible, but there's still a lot of differences compared to the normal meta to where I think it strikes a really good balance. It's also just good to see some stuff like Jetpack be a lot more viable. So we're seeing a lot more variety and stuff. So I'm really happy with it. It's been a lot better than I thought so far, and I hope tournament day it is very interesting to watch. I tried to make it a really good format, so I did the best I could, and I hope people have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite part about this, and this is like, I like to speak a little bit of a personal preference with this as well, is that like this gives so much opportunity for teams and players that have been wanting to try unique weapons that they maybe play on the side in open or X rank, instead of in an actual tournaments, to actually bring it in a tournament format and see how it feels. And like with certain ones being priced at certain points, like this gives plenty of players that maybe shooter players who like to play blasters on the side or rollers on the side or dualies on the side an opportunity to finally expand that and show what they got, show that their open practice has really been proving in an official format. I did want to ask, is there any one comp that you could think of that you'd love to see run in general, or you think might take the whole event?
Like for the tournament?
Yeah.
Honestly, there isn't anything in particular because if I favored a comp too much, I would make it available to buy when I was making it. So I
That's true.
kept my
That's fair.
personal opinion of what exactly I wanted to see out of it. I'm hoping to see a cool Dowser comp. Both the new weapons were, unless if they were really good, were always going to be in the cheapest tier because they're new.
Yeah, it's
And I
valid.
think Dowser at $4 on zones is a bit of a steal. maybe it biases whatever team Jared's on a little bit too much, but I don't know. I don't know if he'll play it, but I think Dowser in zones is really interesting, and I'm hoping some people give it a try in this tournament. But I don't. Outside of Jared, I haven't seen anyone really try it, so I don't know for sure. I mean, outside of that, I've said I think Explosive Steel.
Yep.
I'm excited to see a lot of Dynamo. Uh,
Yes. Ooh, yes.
I'm kind of excited to see Vac Rapid, the Long Rapid Pro. That's been pretty interesting to watch. I think we're going to see a bit of Wiper. I saw Kyo playing it a lot.
Okay.
Wiper seems like a very strong option in this because Stamp's a little better in this format. A lot of slower weapons, and it just kind of it works well into a lot of the weapons in this tournament. But I mean, I've seen a lot of different stuff, so I'm very curious what people are going to do. I think there'll be some things that I'm not predicting to see either, and I'm just hoping that there's some cool stuff out there that people give a try. So you know, I have a few weapons I hope to see, but we'll see what people actually bring to the table in tournament day.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the time. Couple more days left for anyone that's going to be entering. Think of a couple comps that they might want to run or last minute decisions. Looking at the battle fight, there are currently 56 teams signed up, close to halfway to the 128 cap. So if you're watching and you're interested in entering that tournament, now's your time. Grab some friends, grab some teammates. Feel free to come on, enter it. I mean, honestly, this is such a fun event and a fun tournament that it's so unique that I feel like we haven't had in a while. It's just a very unique tournament on this kind of scale. So definitely going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be fun. The meta's been very stale, and the problems with it have been very apparent for a while. So I'm hoping that people will enjoy this format. I kind of just want to see some tournaments where you're forced to shake things up a little bit, especially when Worlds is done. I really hope if the patch isn't good, we see a few more, uh, just a few more stuff to get people to try a bit more things. It doesn't have to be as heavy restrictions as this, but just I don't know, seeing a little like my favorite part of this so far as a coach, like with Moonlight's first scrum on this comp, was just being like, damn, I actually have to think about what comps we want to play. Like for once, it's not obvious what we should pick. You actually have to think about it. That's
Oh man,
fun.
I love
I miss
that.
that theory crafting aspect of like trying to find 4 weapons to feel really broken, and it's nice to have that feeling back again. It's so I love theory crafting in this game. It's so fun, and there's been like no room for that for too long at the level that the teams I'm with are at. So I'm excited to finally see some new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And this might be a lot to hope for in a stretch, but I personally, I'd love to see teams bring this like theory crafting and these comp ideas outside of this tournament and start using it in like unregulated comp tournaments. Just start sparking up new ideas, creating more challenges, things that no one's expecting. And I think this is a great opportunity to open up those ideas and just start running with it because you never know. There could be a weapon that no one's been really giving time to shine, and this could be it. This could be its opportunity.
I appreciate your enthusiasm about the meta.
Yeah, I gotta hope. Someone's gotta
I
hope,
guess that's
right?
all I can say. I have had a very solid idea of where the meta is going to go for the past 3 months, and I have not been wrong yet in any of the trends. So I'm not very hopeful right now, but I would love for some random weapon to suddenly do well that I don't expect. It would be very nice.
Maybe Dowser's it. Maybe Dowser's unlocks it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's one of the best chances.
Yeah.
It's unironically higher up for zones only, at least. It's not that bad. It's like kind of I can see it. I can see it a little bit, but you gotta be real dedicated. I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely. You gotta be able to put in the work for it, grind it out, and show that it's more than just that one dodge roll rapid fire.
Yeah.
So obviously, in general, you're looking forward to this event as a whole. But is there any one specific part that you're maybe like just a little bit more excited about than the other?
Um. I mean, I'm most excited for the $30 tournament. I think that's kind of obvious,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I mean, I'm excited for all of it. Really, there's a lot where I just don't know what to expect in terms of what teams are going to fight each other because there's a lot of good teams that have signed up so far. At least on the NA side, Europe, you gotta sign up, please. I'm looking at you guys at AR. If you want to, Celeste, you guys want to sign up? Be cool. There's like CS. There's NFT Win. There might be Jackpot. There's Moonlight. We got an A here. I want some Europe competition. Come on, you guys got to represent. It's your time. Might not be your time. It might be your time. Who knows?
Bring some fun. Bring in some fun. Bring in the
But
challenge.
I mean, I just like I don't. I don't know too much side order speedrun wise. Like I know the rules, but I'm not really
Hmm.
sure. Like that team aspect is going to be really interesting to see how like the speedrunners help out the content creator side and what strategies we're going to see in terms of the creators get a lot of selection on what hacks they can take in since they get a few more hacks than the speedrunners do. So
Oh,
I'm really excited
okay.
to see like, and I know some of them have been practicing. I saw Vic stream practicing it, so I'm looking forward to seeing like what ideas people have to bring to the table. So like with the $30 tournaments, like I don't know exactly what to expect, and I think that's cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing what people do for this event. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean that's always the fun part. It's so much happening in secrecy. Like who knows how much people are grinding out for not only for the main tournament, the $30 tournament, but even the side order. Like you mentioned, someone was streaming it. I mean, you have the opportunity for these players to be, practicing in secret, hopping in VC every night, trying to
Yeah,
plan up some strategies. I think that's gonna be super exciting.
yeah,
So
I agree.
yeah. So with this event being a very large and a really cool and fun event, would you consider doing large events just like this in the future? Whether it's just for fun, whether it's to raise money as well, or just in general.
I want to, but oh my god, I have had like no time.
That's valid. Yeah, I
If I
get it.
get time, I see myself doing this as like an every now and then and again. I would love to run something like this, but I would have to be much more. It would have to be more of a backseat than I'm doing here, and it would be pretty damn rare. So I wouldn't say it's out of the question entirely, but it is not easy to run these for me. I just have excuse me. I have a lot on my plate already, so if I get the time, I'll throw in some new stuff. But for now, I'd say this is probably the last tournament for me. We'll see for a while.
That's awesome. I'm glad you were able to find a little bit of time in your schedule to put this on because this is incredible. I mean, man, you heard it here though. Never know. Char might be back with another really big fun event, and I mean, it's already amazing to see how many players are so invested, not even just to compete or play, but even just to watch. I mean, like you said, you've had people come volunteer to not only help with the event, but also offer their work for art prizes. And even just the love and care and share it's been getting all over social media is just amazing. It's fantastic to see just in general what this community can do. I mean, it's wonderful. I love seeing stuff like this, and this just goes to show that we're a lot more connected than a lot of other communities out there, and I think that's something that we strive on. I love that for us.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool.
All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we should go over. Going over the list, I think there was one thing actually I want to touch on. It has to do with the scrapped ideas. You had something written about a 5v5 with a spec cam. How far did that
Oh
idea
yes,
get?
that's what I forgot. Yeah, I didn't come up with this idea. I think it was a very old Splatoon 2 idea. I cannot pin down who came up with this, but it's just both teams get a spectator, and that spectator is allowed to talk throughout the
Ooh,
match.
oh my goodness.
And I thought it would have just been a really funny event. It would have definitely been like a smaller scale thing. Uh, the main problem is just, well, you can imagine if two spectators are in the room, how do you cast a tournament?
Yeah,
You have to do
yeah.
like casting people streams. So it was one of those that was shot down very quickly. But I thought it would be. I hope someone runs that on a smaller scale at one point. It'd be very funny to see what people could do with just one guy who could see everything and just telling the enemy team every information possible about it. So
Oh man, that could go so many. I'm just thinking of all the ideas like you could try to run that, whether it's like 3v3 and the fourth is the spec cam. You have one player hopping in between VCs every other minute to help out the other team. Oh man, there's so many
oh no,
different ways to
sorry. I
take
mean like the
that.
spectators in VC with their own team. So like
Y-
five. Like
Oh yeah,
you
so
each team is just a team of
that's
five. So
right.
you're just
Okay,
in
yeah.
VC with your team. Yeah.
Oh, that would be something. If only they were able to have like an extra slot just for um something. I know it's hard to it would be a lot to ask for, and I'm sure how we would even like incorporate that into the game, but that would be amazing. All right, with that being said, I think that's covered everything. Is there anything you'd like to maybe mention that we haven't brought up about the event or anything you'd like to say regarding it?
Off the top of my head, I think I've covered everything. So I'm just I'm very grateful for all the support for the community from the community about it. I think it's gonna be really fun to run, and I'm yeah, I'm just grateful for it. It's cool to finally see this idea happen, and it'll be nice to like be able to run it and know that I was able to do it. So I'm still a little nervous to make sure everything ends up running smoothly. But it's been an idea for a long time, and I'm just really happy to see. I hope people enjoy it and just see how people do in it. So I'm yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I don't have as much else to say. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for coming on and talking about this event. I can't wait. I'm sure many of the viewers can't wait for this event as well. Remember, it's this weekend, the 16th and 17th, being streamed live on ProChara's channel. So once again, ProChara, thank you so much for coming out and doing this episode of the podcast to talk about your amazing event. And with that being said, that's going to do it for this episode of the Cactus Patch. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.